So give us kind of how we can help. I mean, I basically wanted to speak to you because how can we help? How can we help you right now in this moment?
For us, I thought about this, and I didn't want to raise any fundraising campaigns or something, because I almost feel it's unrespectful to the people who really lost lives, lost their homes. And I think that all the help should be channeled to them.
Hello, Italian wine people. This is a bonus episode from Italian Wine Podcast. Stay tuned to discover more.
Welcome to the Italian Wine Podcast. My name is Stevie Kim. This is a special edition today. We are here with Mattia Manferrari. This is a very unfortunate circumstance. I would have liked to have connected with you under better circumstances, but most importantly, we want to raise awareness for what's happened to Borgo del Tiglio. There was a huge landslide which affected their winery and, of course, their neighbors and that whole area there. So we'll get right into it. Mattia, first of all, how are you and your family?
Oh, first of all, I have to thank you and thank all of the people that showed huge support with us. And for us, this is incredibly important, and I think it's where we get the strength to go on in this moment. So really a huge thank you to everyone. In this moment, I really feel this huge force coming towards us, and for us, it's really meaning something.
So just tell us, for those who are less aware, tell us what happened in Brazzano, which is kind of the Borgo or the hamlet that you live in, and how did the landslide come about to affect Borgo del Tiglio?
Yeah, so what happened is that during the night between Sunday and Monday last week, a huge amount of rain fell down. They are talking about 300 millimeters of rain in just 7 hours. And this means that the water becomes nearly uncontrollable. And this affected a huge portion of the Collio area with minor landslide and other floods and a lot of things. Unfortunately, let's say Brazzano was at the epicenter of what was going on, and a huge portion of woodland placed on the hill above the winery suddenly detached and ran down along a sort of a small river and came down to our Borgo. And the Borgo is made partly of the winery and partly of 3 houses. And it was a huge amount of mud and trees. And they stopped inside the courtyard of the winery. And unfortunately, they tore down a few buildings. And the most tragic part is that 2 people were involved. And they unfortunately didn't make it. Our enologist, Matteo, was also involved. He was trying to save the old lady that was trying to escape. He was on a ladder, and he was trying to recover her from her house that partially already collapsed.
Oh, my goodness.
And he was helping her coming down the ladder. He was lucky in a way that he was on the top of the ladder, while the other man who was trying to help and the old lady were already down. So they were hit by the landslide in that moment, and they were under the rubble. So they unfortunately didn't make it. But Matteo, fortunately, broke a leg and lost some blood, but he made it. So also my thoughts are with him, and he's in the hospital, but he's going to recover soon. So that's the good part of all this tragedy.
You know, it's so sad. I mean, in the beginning, I was actually confused because I thought it was actually you, because your name is so similar, Mattia and Matteo. So I thought actually you were trying to help the old lady. And, you know, it's a tiny Borgo, right? It's a tiny hamlet. It's just few houses and your winery.
Yeah, because this is the historic part of our village, which is Brazzano. It's placed on the feet of the hills, and it's slightly over the rest of the village. And it's made up of the church, who was intact after the landslide. three houses that were going up towards the hill. And basically the rest is all our winery and a few other houses that fortunately were not affected by the landslide on the left, because this happened on the right, let's say, looking from below.
So give us kind of the state of the art, the status quo of the situation. Were you able to access your winery? Like what parts of these states were mostly affected, and what's been lost? What was damaged? What is the situation? Give us kind of an idea.
Yeah, so what happened is that all this mud and trees and everything, they told me there were 27,000 cube meters of dirt that fell down. Essentially crashed with extreme violence towards these houses, one of which was part of our estate. They are on the right, considering our courtyard. When you go in, it's on the right. And then they deviated onto the courtyard of the winery. And there they made another building collapsed. In this building, we were keeping our historical archive. So it's basically all of the bottles that we kept from the 80s until today. And then it stopped on the other side of the courtyard, really near to the other buildings that form our wineries. What happened is that most of the mud is still sitting atop of our barrique cellar, which was built in 2006 and was excavated under the hill. So before there was a containment wall onto which the historical buildings that were built in the 1600s basically were sitting on. So the cellar was built excavating this portion of the hill that were directly adjacent to the old buildings and was under the hill, basically. This cellar was not affected, but now a ton of dirt is sitting on top of it. So we are trying to understand what can we do to put that place into a sort of a more secure position.
Yeah. So you were able to access the winery, but you're not working you can't, it's not in a workable state right now. Is that correct?
No, because right now the authority blocked access to the whole area. So it's still, everything is still evolving. We are not sure about what is going to happen. For now, they are talking about blocking the access for 1 to 3 years. So for us, this, of course, is dramatic because it means not being able to go on with the activity because, if we are not able to access for 3 years, this means we lose everything, basically. So we are trying to understand the evolving of the situation and understand how can we possibly find a solution. The most immediate priority for us is to recover the wine because right now, the 2025 vintage is all in barrique and it's all buried inside this internals into this interrated cellar, and it's the work of the last year. It's basically 1 year of work that is buried under there, and we are at least able to recover that. So we are trying to move with the authorities to understand what's the most safe way to recover that.
What about the old vintages?
Well, the older vintages are safe, fortunately, because we have a standalone warehouse where we keep the wine in the bottle. And that one, it was across the street.
Okay.
So besides some mud and some minor damage, that part was safe. So at least the bottles are safe.
Give us an idea, for our listeners, our audience who are less familiar with Borgo del Tiglio. Give us kind of contextualize in terms of how big the winery is, how many labels you have, and how much volume you produce.
Sure. So the winery was founded in 1981 by my father. At the start, he started basically with 2 hectares of land. Now, gradually over the years, we grew up to cultivating 8 hectares. And overall, we manage a volume of bottles of around 50,000 bottles. We work with a sustainable approach, high quality approach, and terroir-driven approach. So we manage about 15, 16 labels every year, all small parcels, small batches of wine that highlight the values of the single vineyards that we manage.
So it's a fairly, what I would say, you're kind of a small producer, right? Very artisanal, curated producer. And Brazzano, where is it exactly? Give us an idea, like the largest city that we would know, like for an American, for example.
Yeah, so we are in the extreme northeast of Italy. We are right next to the border with Slovenia. If you sit on top of the hill that we manage behind the winery, you can see Slovenia, so it's really near. And the next big city, I would say, is Udine or Trieste, to give you a reference.
Okay.
And we are in the Collio appellation. So while maybe Cormons is also known for
Right.
wine production.
Hormones.
Yeah. Cormons is the main village of the area.
So give us kind of how we can help. I mean, I basically wanted to speak to you because how can we help? How can we help you right now in this moment?
For us, I thought about this, and I didn't want to raise any fundraising campaigns or something, because I almost feel it's unrespectful to the people who really lost lives, lost their homes. And I think that all the help should be channeled to them. To me, right now, the most important thing is to raise awareness about the situation. And what is really near my heart is all the work that my father put into this winery. He is a person who always puts the value of the history, of the traditions, of what really makes a place what it is. All the work that people before us did, the historical value of the place. The name Borgo del Tiglio is not casual, because he was really in love with the place above anything else. The vineyard behind the winery, it's called the Ronco della Chiesa, and it's, if you ask many producers, they will say it's almost an agricultural monument, because it was probably, that we are aware of, the only vineyard left that was terraced by hand in traditional way, respecting the shape of the hill the best way possible. It was thought for horses. Almost any tractor cannot go there. We do all the work is manual, and we feel it's so incredibly important to keep these traditions alive. They are almost disappearing. Right now, people are trying to mechanize, are working with another approach, mostly in the vineyard. But we strongly believe that all this value that went on for centuries, all this knowledge is incredibly important, and talks to you about the sustainability, about respecting the land, about placing more value to our place, to our land. And this, for me, is the most important part. Then, of course, what I said to the people who were asking me is, if you want to uncork a bottle of Borgo del Tiglio, that would be appreciated, of course.
I went to your website because that was exactly what I was thinking, purchasing your wine. But there's actually, how do we even purchase your wine right now? Number one, because on the website, you don't have an e-commerce or anything. How do people, like under ordinary circumstances, how do they purchase your wine? I mean, we found some, of course, on e-commerce online, like Tanico or Signor Vino or whatever. But from you directly, how do we purchase your wine?
Yeah, so you can send me an email to info@borgodeltiglio.it.
So you do like one order at a time?
Yeah, we are not a very commercial driven winery, so it's all very artisanal also in the logistic managing. But,
so you're taking care of that. When the email comes, you do the packaging and you send it out ordinarily.
Yeah. But if you want to go to your local wine shop, to an online shop, that's.
But so when do you think you can start shipping wines? Of course, Christmas is a huge holiday moment, right, for everybody.
Yeah.
But when do you think they will allow you to go in, fetch your wine, so you can start shipping the wines?
So right now, the past week, what we did, and we received a lot of help, and again, I can only say thank you to all the people that came voluntarily to help take a shovel and bring the mud away. And at least we were able to restore the warehouse of the bottles.
Excellent.
So right now we should be able to restart, at least technically.
Okay.
Then as soon as the authorities will give us the permission, we should be able to ship at least.
Okay. Excellent. So that's a very
That
good
should be
way to.
operative soon.
And so
Yeah.
we just send for our audience info@borgodeltiglio.it.
Yeah.
Okay. Who is your importer in America, for example?
So in America, we have several importers. We work with Grand Cru Selections. We work with Lira Wine in California.
Oh, with Christian.
Christian, yes.
Ah, okay. That's okay. And who else?
Then we work with Vineyard Road in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Volio Imports
Voglio.
in Colorado.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
doing with Charles.
Yeah.
I don't know if Charles is still living in Treviso, but you're working with Voglio as well.
He does partially, works partially in Treviso and
Yeah.
partially.
Okay, very good.
Yes.
That's very good to know. So, I want to just go back to what you said before, the historical parcel, Ronco della Chiesa. Is that still intact or was that damaged as well?
So Ronco della Chiesa was partially hit by the landslide because the right side of the vineyard was where essentially all the mud came down. And also on the left part, there is a smaller landslide that happened. And so, there is a lot of damage, I would say. We are still trying to understand exactly the extent. But right now, I think that in my mind, that is a big priority to try and save that vineyard because it's a 80 years old vineyard. Around 70% of the vines are still original. And so there is a really huge amount of knowledge and tradition and
History behind it. Yeah.
history.
Yeah.
History.
So,
in this
Mattia,
vineyard.
you were saying that your dad, Nicola Manferrari, had started the winery in 1981. But I understood that you actually produced wine way before that, right?
So what happened is that my grandfather actually was coming from a different world. He was a business agent. He had a small factory. So also he was coming from Bologna. But he met my grandmother, and my grandmother had some land, some vineyards in the area. And he was the one to place together all the buildings that now form the Borgo del Tiglio winery. And he started making wine from Ronco della Chiesa in the 70s. And it was him who first placed the name Ronco della Chiesa in the label through the help of Gaspare Buscemi, another historic producer of the area, who gave the idea to my grandfather to use the name of the cru. So it was one of the first known cru wines of Friuli, which was not so usual at the time. And there is a lot of stratified history of winemaking in the area. But my father is the one that essentially started a proper winery.
Yeah, there's a very cute story on your website about him being kicked out at the pharmacy of your, I suppose, your grandmother several times.
Yeah.
Because he was kind of hard to deal with, but he fell in love with wine. I love that story. Right now, how is Borgo del Tiglio composed of? Like, in terms of who does what from the family? Because obviously your father's involved. Have you got any siblings? Is your mother involved? Like, who does what in the family? How big is the Manferrari team and Borgo del Tiglio? And then Matteo, who's he's the cellar master?
Yeah, so essentially me and my father work there full time. My mother lends a big help, although is not directly involved.
But she's the real boss, right? Like any family.
Well,
I've met a lot of wine
considering how
families.
hard-headed and stubborn my father is, I think in this case he's the
real-
one-man show. And my mother is a sort of a saint woman, I would say.
Yeah.
She
We'll make
gives
her a
them
bronze
help.
statue.
Yeah. And I have a sister, but she actually works with arts. She teaches arts in school, and she's an illustrator.
Oh,
She also
okay.
designed a couple of labels for us.
Oh,
So,
excellent.
of course, she's involved in a way, because in a family business like this, everyone is kind of involved. But yeah, she's not directly in the winery. And then we have actually a big team of people that work for us. I mean, big for the size that we operate on. There is Flaminia, there is Giacomo, there is Michael, Fatih, there is Marco and Licinia in the office right now, because everyone lended the help in these tough moments. And I really want to be near everyone, because everyone is really doing their best to help. And we work with many people. I mean, there is a lot of hours per hectare involved, because we want to work in the most traditional and sustainable way. We do not mechanize much. And right now, everyone is helping the way they can. And I'm really thankful to all of them.
Listen, so I know I want to talk to you a little bit about climate change, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, how old are you, Mattia?
I'm 36.
You're 30, so you look like a little boy. Except
It's because I shaved recently. Normally my beard is...
Oh, okay. So, Mattia, how long have you been working with your family winery?
Well, in a way, I've been working there since I was 14, probably.
Right.
But, giving a help during summer.
You didn't have a choice,
having
right?
the harvest. But I've been working there full time since 2016, when I finished studying.
So it's been about 9 years, nearly 10 years.
Yeah.
But do you see this event is connected to I don't know, in a way, a larger pattern of climate change, climate risk in Friuli, or at least in your area?
Well, I have to say I'm sure about this. I think climate change is evident to everyone that wants to look with their eyes, to be aware about the problem. And it's affecting every single one of us sooner or later, I think. And it's a big issue. And I think so many people should probably place more attention about this matter, because sooner or later, I think everyone will be really and seriously affected by what's happening. Today, it touched us. Tomorrow is going to be someone else. And I think everyone from the upper politics in the EU to every single citizen should place more attention to this matter.
But was there anything that you could have done to avoid this situation? I mean, I guess this is more of a technical, I mean, it's partially philosophical, but also partially technical, right? But is there anything you could have done to have lessened the damage, or control the damage, or avoided this kind of, tragic impact?
The problem with these issues is that there is always two sides of it. So one is the bigger problem, so the climate change problem, which is a global issue and affects every one of us, and everyone can do a small part. But the problem is that people probably feel that their single action is not enough, and it feels like it's overwhelming sometimes. So you tend not to act because you say, okay, it would be useless because I'm too small, it's not going to change the world, and so on. So I think everyone can do a little bit to help in this case. But more specifically about this situation, this landslide, I've heard a lot of people saying things on social networks, because in these cases, everyone becomes sort of a geologist or an expert and has to tell something about the matter. The reality of it is that landslide was not mapped because there were no precedent events that were signaling the problem. There were not, I've read that people placed new vineyards around the area recently. This is absolutely not true. All the vineyards that are there are historical and were there at least in the 70s. So I think the specificity of the event is just a tragic accident, and it's the fruit of a huge amount of rain that probably never fell down in this quantity in such a small amount of time.
So you said 300 centimeters, right?
Millimeters, yes.
Millimeters, sorry. Ordinarily, how much rain do you get? Just to contextualize a bit.
So in the whole year in our region, 1,200 millimeters fall down. So it's
The entire year.
during the entire year.
Yeah.
So it's 25% of the average amount of water that should fall into a year
Right.
in just 7 hours.
Yeah, so it was crazy, right? And
Yeah.
where were you when this happened?
So this is almost paradoxical, but I was in Mestre because I was Mestre, which is near Venice,
Yes.
because I was to be operated on my nose.
You
I was
got a
in
nose
hospital.
job? You got a nose job?
No, it's just how can I say?
This is the better nose? This is the better version of the nose?
No. The nose was not touched aesthetically. I had, I'm not sure about the English term. It's polypi nasali in Italy.
All right. So you had a small
A
operation.
small surgery, not very important.
Yeah.
So I got the news from a hospital bed. People started calling me. It was very confusing for me because it was a strange situation to be in. And for me, it was almost even more frustrating to be there, not be able to be near the people that were affected and the place that it was affected. So the first couple of days I was there, then I tried to come back as soon as possible.
Okay. And what about your parents? Where was your father when all this happened?
So the family house is about 200 meters far from the winery.
Not very far.
So they went there immediately because they knew the news from Flaminia, which is another person who works with us and lives nearby. She was called by Matteo, and she went there immediately. And then she called my father and my mother, and they went there.
You know, I
So
was
were there right away.
it's crazy because I was there on Monday because Monday I was going to see Marco Simonit, his academy. So I had an event there. So I was going to, because you're right nearby, I was going to pop by. And
Very
then,
near.
Yeah, and then one of my colleagues from the office, she's from Friuli, and she's the one who told me, she's like, you can't go there because something, I think at the time when it was Monday morning, we didn't have all the information. We didn't know how badly you guys were struck and whatnot. But she said, absolutely, you can't go anywhere near that. So It's so crazy because I was planning to, I usually don't plan because when I have like a few like, half an hour, 1 hour, I'm going somewhere and then I ping, the winery and, do a short video, and so I was absolutely planning to do that. So it's crazy. And even the day after Monday, there was torrential rain and it continued on Monday evening.
There was literally a river of mud that was flowing down.
Yeah.
And it didn't stop for at least 24 hours.
Listen, so let's just remind our listeners, what are the next steps for the estate in the short term?
For now, the immediate priority was to secure all the things that we could secure and try to avoid further damage. And I have to also thank you, Protezione Civile, Vigili del Fuoco, because they were a huge help in this matter. They helped us coordinate the immediate interventions to avoid further damage. Now, after the first immediate things were secure, we started emptying the mud from the warehouse, so the separate building that would allow us to at least ship the wine. Then I also trying to set up a temporary office. My aunt has another house nearby, and so she allowed us to put some computers and some papers and some documents there.
Right.
So now we're trying to set up something that's functional. And I think it will be one step at a time, trying to face one priority after the other.
Yeah. One day at
until
a
a new
time.
balance is found. The most important thing, and that's one that we feel is making the winery hang by a thread right now, is recover the wines. Because if we lose the whole 2025 vintage, it's over for us.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, well, let's hope you can do that very soon, and somehow you can recuperate, the 25 vintage. I know that you have other parcels, not just in Brazzano, right?
Yeah.
Were they okay?
So we have a couple other parcels.
Yeah, on the website
overall,
there
we
are
have
three parcels, right? 3 areas.
Yeah, it's 3 main parcels, and the biggest one is in the Brazzano area near the winery. Then we have another parcel in Ca delle Vallade, which is right behind that hill, on the northeastern side. And then we have another hill in the small village of Ruttars, which is also nearby, and it's where we make Studio di Bianco wine. Those 3 parcels, and we got a minor landslide there. Nothing comparable to what happened in Brazzano, but I have to say a lot of producers had a lot of damage. And in the Berda area in Slovenia as well, in the Italian part, I think almost everyone got something. It's really a huge issue and a big problem for all of us right now.
So, Mattia, before we go, tell us, what is your signature wine? You're like, of course, like a good Friulano. You make 15, 16 labels. You can't make less than that. But if you were to choose, what would you consider your signature wine? What represents Borgo del Tiglio the most?
I would say 2 wines. So one is Ronco della Chiesa, which is
the historic vineyard. Yeah,
it's a 80 years old vineyard that represents all the tradition and the historicity of the place. And the other one is a Studio di Bianco, which represents maybe a more innovative approach, or at least a synthesis between the old tradition and what my father and me personally brought to the area.
Okay.
Which is a blend. It's a blend of Friulano, Sauvignon, and Riesling. And it's made in the Ruttars Hill.
And how many bottles do you produce of Ronco della Chiesa?
It's about 2,000 bottles per year.
Oh, so it's tiny. You can basically drink it in the family.
More or less.
And what about the studio?
The same.
The same. So they're tiny, tiny parcels. Okay. So
it's a very low yields and very low. Also, there is a big selection in the cellar before we decide to really release these wines.
Okay, so let's just recap how our audience can get in touch with you. It's by email mostly. Hopefully you get that info at Borgo del Tiglio. And then I see that you have in Instagram, social media. We reposted some of your stuff. And if you give us some information through that would be great, as, things develop.
Of course. I'm planning to keep people updated on the situation, because many people are asking me how the situation is. And I'm hopeful to bring some brighter news soon.
Yes.
So.
As soon as you have access to, to your warehouse, how we can get in touch with you. And I know April seems really, really far away, but I hope you can be in great shape by the time we see you hopefully at Opera Wine.
Sure. My hope is that we can say, some more hopeful news at the time.
Listen,
get there.
I know, Mattia, I know you have a lot of things to do. Thank you so much for sharing your update with us, and best of our regards to you, your family, and also your neighbors.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, and that's a wrap. We're signing off. This is Italian Wine Podcast with Mattia Manferrari.
Goodbye.
Listen to the Italian Wine Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Himalaya FM, and more. Don't forget to subscribe and rate the show. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. Until next time, cin cin.